Sometimes low self-confidence can come from just comparing your inside to somebody else's outside. You can see your own flaws very clearly, but you're looking at somebody else's Instagram or TikTok life, which is a fake caricature or a projection that they're trying to put on to appear better than they actually are. There's no test other than to do it. There's no test other than nature. Just go out there and do it, and you'll know very quickly if you can or cannot. And the reality is, the more you try to do it, the better you'll become at it through iteration. And so just the act of trying will make you more successful, which will make you more confident in turn.
I think just even speaking about education requires us to work on some inner child healing. And that healing is what is going to bring forth the new education system that is better all around and serves children better. And I hope that we're going to be able to learn from some of our traumas as we build a much better system.
So I think the best thing that we can do, parents, for young people, as mentioned earlier, are find meaningful opportunities for them to be successful and make it things that they actually had to work at, something that didn't come easy, so that they understand the connection between persistence, or given talent and success, and that sort of grows your confidence. I'm sure I'm missing other factors.
I think a lot of it begins with parents just recognizing that they actually have choices in education. And, for so long, for so many families, their only educational option was their assigned district school that they were compelled by law to send their children to, unless they could somehow afford hefty private school tuition or, make the time to homeschool. And for many families, that just wasn't feasible. And so now it's really just letting families know that there are so many more options in between all of those three things, that micro schools and learning centers and, hybrid homeschool programs, low-cost private schools are increasingly abundant and financially accessible to more families. And that's being driven by these permissionless innovators, these everyday entrepreneurs like you and Shireen and Alicia, who are building an education system that's suitable for the innovation era, and thankfully moving away from the one-size-fits-all factory model schooling that we've been stuck with for well over a century.
I remember one time being at a big homeschooling conference, California homeschooling conference, and seeing a bunch of grown homeschoolers on a panel, and they were asked by curious and also worried parents what was the best thing they got from homeschooling. And I remember one young woman saying, the best thing I got from homeschooling was knowing and understanding that whatever it is I want to learn, I'm capable of making that happen. Which I think speaks to the fact that homeschooling tends to produce kids or facilitate kids who are self-led, and even if they're not self-led, who have a fair amount of sovereignty and self-esteem and also a sense of themselves.
As my husband and I have always not fit in and have often done things in ways that were weird or unconventional. And I think that those unconventional approaches are what led us both to achieve success academically and professionally. And so I think that unconventionality may be more the salient feature here that kind of gives us a confidence to take a more unconventional approach with our daughter's education.
You have to be your own judge. All the great artists, chefs, creators, musicians, I think also have great taste. If you read Schopenhauer, for example, he knew that he was the smartest man alive at that time in his region, and that nobody else would ever fully understand or appreciate him. But he made peace with that because he knew that his work would be remembered long after he was gone. So I do think there is an internal self-confidence that can arise from your own judgment and taste, and sometimes that is enough.
I guess for families that are on the borderline of taking the leap into homeschooling, what I would probably advise and coach them into is just try and start. You just never know. And you can always go back to what you were doing before.
Do you think that people today are perhaps less confident than they've been at other points in history? What does confidence mean to you? I have my own way of defining confidence, but I'd be curious to know what you think. And is perhaps the lack of confidence due to traditional schooling? I don't know. Maybe that's too much of a leading question, but I'd be curious to know why you think people lack confidence and how we can cultivate this in ourselves and our children.